So 13, 14, and 15, we're doing the composition of trigonometric functions, problem type 2. Problem type 2, instead of using the table, since we're doing all the inverse functions first, we're going to draw our reference triangles. Notice none of these have pi in them, like on the previous ones where you had radian measures. So that's my hint or my sign to know which one I'm doing. Do I have pi in the problem, or do I have problems without pi in there that I can draw my reference triangle? So I'm going to do the inverse cosine. So if I'm doing the inverse cosine, I know I have negative 1 over the square root of 5. Cosine is going to be negative in quadrant 2. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So the adjacent is negative 1. The hypotenuse is a positive. It's always a positive, square root of 5. I can find my missing side by using my Pythagorean theorem. So negative 1 squared plus x squared equals the square root of 5 squared. So this would be 1 plus x squared equals 5. If I subtract 1, I'm going to get 4. So x is going to equal 2. My x is going up, so I'm going to get a positive 2 for my missing side over there. Now I'm going to do the sine of my triangle that I have drawn over there. So my sine is my opposite over my hypotenuse, so I'm going to have 2 over the square root of 5. Of course, I have to rationalize that denominator, and so I get 2 square root of 5 over 5 for my answer. The next one, we are finding the tangent of the inverse sine of negative 15/17. For my sine to be negative, I want to be in quadrant 4. So I'm going to draw my reference triangle over here in quadrant 4. My sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So negative 15/17. I have to do my Pythagorean theorem. So negative 15 squared plus x squared equals 17 squared. I don't know those ones in my head. Well, 15 is 225, but... So 15 squared is 225 plus x squared equals 17 squared, 289. So if I subtract my 225, I get 64. And the square root of 64 means I'm going to have 8. 8 is going to be in the positive direction, so I have a positive 8 there. I'm now going to do the tangent of my reference triangle. My tangent is my opposite over my hypotenuse. Oh, my tangent is not my opposite over my hypotenuse. My tangent is my opposite over my adjacent. Looked over here and saw that. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. The opposite over the adjacent means I'm going to have negative 15/8. Number 15. I am going to do the inverse cosine. My cosine is positive, so since I'm positive, I'm in quadrant 1. For all of them, sine, cosine, and tangent, if it's positive, you're in quadrant 1. My cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, so 7 over 8. So, doing my Pythagorean theorem, 7 squared plus x squared equals 8 squared. 49 plus x squared equals 64. I'm going to subtract my 49. I get 15. Can't simplify the square root of 15. It is in the positive direction because it's going up. And so now I'm going to do the cosecant. Cosecant is the hypotenuse over the opposite. So 8 over the square root of 15. I have to rationalize my denominator, so I get 8 square root of 15 over 15 for my answer.